7 important skills you won't learn from reading books. A student went to his mentor to seek life advice. After 3 extensive hours of listening to the mentor, he said, "Wow, I have learned a lot from you today." The mentor replied and said, "You have learned nothing. What you just got from me is information. Now go out there and start learning." We often mistake knowledge and learning with assimilating and regurgitating information. But the best lessons in life are not learned from reading books, but from doing, failing, and trying again. People who understand this principle go further in life than people who don't. This is often why the best students end up working for the average, more exploratory students. Reading is fundamental, but it doesn't teach us everything about life. To be well-read is important, and quoting books is often seen as a sign of intelligence. But creating your own story is just as important as learning from the stories of others. If you want to be a person of value and wisdom, you have to go into the world and create experiences rather than just sitting in front of a digital device or in a library. Anyone can rehearse theory, but it takes real-life experiences to truly learn what it takes to go from point A to point B. Some things need to be experienced to truly be internalized. In today's video, we share with you 7 important skills you won't learn from reading a book. If you are new to After School Africa, you're welcome. Consider subscribing to continue exploring opportunities. 1. How to say no. A lot of people find it hard to say no to people they know, even when what they ask of us is inconveniencing and beyond us. It could be that friend that only calls when they need money, or even an acquaintance that wants a piece of our limited time without offering anything in return. No matter how many books you read about confidence and body language, you have to actually execute it repeatedly if you'll ever develop the mental strength to turn people down when you have to. Saying no may not necessarily be a skill, but it's a habit you have to cultivate if you want to maintain control of your life. People will often float proposals of their interests, some of which you know is a distraction to you. You shouldn't be sentimental about your response just because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You have to exercise your no-saying muscle to really develop this ability. 2. How to overcome failure. You can read all the steps and how-tos about recovering from failure, learning valuable life lessons on the way. But if it were that easy, there wouldn't be so many cynics in the world. Many people have been defeated by the failure of the past. You need to fail and work through the recovery to understand what it's like to overcome failure. No book can prepare you to handle failure as much as your past experience of actually handling failures. People will offer words of encouragement, but ultimately, overcoming failure is a skill you learn on your own, not through reading books. 3. Living through crisis. Crisis actually compels you to learn most of the valuable life skills. It's little wonder that the most successful people have experienced the most crises in their lifetime. People who had to deal with crisis at early age tend to develop stronger mental capacity to handle the issues of life and even to succeed. It takes wisdom to make the right decision through crisis. You can resolve to start a business if you don't get a job 3 years after graduating, or you resort to self-pity or even crime. This is not a skill you develop from books. Even wealthy parents have to create artificial crises for their children to get them to learn valuable life lessons. They know these lessons cannot be taught from talks at the dining table. Unless you find yourself in a position with your back against the wall, nothing different is going to happen in your life. You will never discover who you really are if you don't go through pressure. 4. Motivation. Elon Musk needed to buy a rocket from the Russians to fly his project to space, but the Russians treated his team disrespectfully, looking down on those ordinary geeks who wanted to buy a rocket. On their return flight, upset by this experience, Musk researched about making rockets, turned to one of his colleagues and said, "We are going to build this thing." That was how SpaceX, his rocket company, was born. Rejection turned to motivation. A lot of people have made a career out of motivating people. No doubt there is a place for that. But the truth is that motivation is not what you learn from reading books or listening to motivational speakers. The best you can get from external motivation is to remind you why you started or why you have to. The real motivation is the why. It could be seeing your parents go through humiliations because they were not educated or financially capable. It could be getting jilted by your crush because you didn't have what it takes. It could be being abused as a child. Motivation comes from experience, not from reading books. 5. How to follow your intuition. You know the feeling. It's a knowing, or the very least, a gentle persuasion that something is off or awesome or needs your attention. It's subtle and doesn't clamor for attention, which is why it's easily missed. It's intuition. And like most things that speak with a quiet voice, if we listen, the potential is life-changing. Jim Ovia talked about how his intuition led him to develop interest in computers, even when very few people knew about its applications. This played a major role when he founded Zenith Bank. Steve Jobs also attributes his decision to the paths he had taken through life as emerging from intuition. No one or book can teach you how to follow your intuition. It's a skill you have to learn. Sometimes your intuition may go against all conventional wisdom. It takes self-awareness to identify the voice and make the right judgment. 6. How to look out for yourself. School can be rather competitive. Students compete for grades, compete for their teachers' favor, and compete in sports. But nothing will teach you the magnitude of competition as when you enter life after study. With technology getting more and more advanced, the world is getting smaller and smaller. This means that the competition is getting bigger and bigger. While in school, you only had to worry about your fellow classmates. When out in the real world, you have to now not only worry about everyone else in the country you live in, but now often have to compete with the rest of the world. If you think good grades were good motivation for competition, wait until you see how money motivates people. You will learn that people will cheat, lie, and even kill for money. Then you will learn to look out for yourself. You will learn this from experience more than from reading books. 7. Taking daily actions. Success is not achieved by momentary pep talks or one-time rush of emotion. It is achieved from focused, consistent daily habits, and this comes with a lot of boring process. Reading a book may get you inspired at the moment, but taking those daily consistent actions will come from your effort. In fact, the most important life skills you need to succeed in life are not learned from books. Books are great, no doubt, and can open you up to a world of opportunities and possibilities. But like the student who met his mentor, books will only give you information. You then have to practice the information you got and make your own experiences. That's how you learn. What other lessons have you learned that you know you won't have learned from reading a book? Tell us about it in the comment section. Remember to thumb up and share this video. If you're yet to subscribe to After School Africa, now is a good time to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, your success matters.